You missed the welcome part of that sentence, Evan, but otherwise, super on point. Appreciate
I need
that.
to welcome him.
Good, good. No, it's always good to test those things out by just aggressively breaking them. Yeah, so let's talk about some of the kind of problems and challenges that were associated with multiple video recordings a week, and kind of what took us to making this decision. Um, the big thing for us is that 2 videos a week is a lot more studio time, and we've got our own scheduling concerns, and we've got reasons why that may or may not be easy on certain weeks, and we've gotten to a level of kind of professionalism or comfort with our process that we're able to record and produce at that level of content. So we tried it for almost the entire month of April with the CID series we did, and with a lot of the other videos that we were producing, and we learned a lot of things. We learned, first of all, that producing 2 videos a week is twice as much effort. No surprise there. And also that there's a lot of background effort that goes into the production of our weekly videos. Like, John and Evan and I try to play like 4 or 5 games of the list before we feature it on the channel, at a bare minimum. And that's assuming it's a faction and a caster who've already got some familiarity with or comfort with. So part of what we were doing with the Ghost Fleet series, the kind of deep dive series, is we were trying to say, like, okay, would people be interested in somebody playing something that they've got a great deal of comfort in? So we reduce the amount of background load that person experiences in terms of prepping for those games, and we focus on just halving the amount of work involved in preparing for them. And obviously they were really well received. So our hope with the second video recording is it's going to be a day of kind of deeper dive recording. Sort of John plays Madrak 3 for 8 games in a row, and it's a caster he's really comfortable with. It's a caster he's got more than 60 games with. Like, that's the kind of video series you'd expect to see on our second recording day, and the plan is to record that second day and produce videos for it on Thursdays of every week. So that's announcement number 1. As Evan was pointing out, we'll be going to 2 days of video production. You'll see a regularly scheduled battle report style video on the Monday, and you'll see something a little bit more like the Challenger series or a little bit more like the Ghost Fleet miniseries on the Thursday of every week. That may or may not start this week. We may have that starting next week, but that's the plan, and you should be looking forward to that in the near future. And we've gotten a lot of feedback from people about the kind of series they'd like to see, and obviously some of that's based on our level of interest, what we'd like to commit to a long kind of process of doing. But if you guys have feedback on what you'd like to see a bit of a deeper dive into, Arcane Assist Does Deep Dives is going to be our Thursday series. Working title. Everything's a working title. For those of you who are joining us on the live stream, by all means, at any point, if you have questions or comments, we've got some that we solicited earlier from the videos or from Facebook, but we'll be taking questions and comments throughout this entire process. We have, what is it, Evan? I think like 3 or 4 pretty major announcements to make about kind of what the next year is going to be about for us. And we also want to do a bit of a discussion about kind of what's worked, what hasn't, what we've learned through this whole experience, maybe offer some feedback to people who could be interested in doing video content themselves, or who have suggestions about what kind of video content they'd like to see from us. But yeah, and also maybe some of what your favorite video content is. We've experimented with a lot of things, and it's not always easy to know what resonates with people, what people are really excited about. So that's the kind of stuff I'd like to kind of get from everybody if you're interested. I know as far as John's concerned, he'd like to just be a troll channel.
For sure. Or at least just play trolls.
Just trolls. Trolls v trolls.
Oh,
just mirror matches all the time. Poor Evan. I think Evan's going to die here.
And the trolls Facebook group loves it. So
the troll Facebook group loves us being a dedicated troll channel.
I have no
Thanks.
Group chat for Facebook and everything.
No bias there. That's great. Guess what? The Cricks Facebook group loves it when I do nothing but play Ghost Fleet.
Well, there you go. We're set.
There you go. Ghost Fleet versus Trolls, John. It's your new life.
Yeah, it's so much fun. Many?
Sorry to interrupt you, Evan. I'm getting some people on the chat who are saying that they can't hear you right now. Like maybe that they got a mute from the stream. We had a bunch of that, which is maybe not what we're supposed to be experiencing from people. Sure, it's always fun to troubleshoot this. What's up?
There's so much.
Okay, sure. Can people hear me? That's probably a reasonable question.
All right.
If anyone.
Oh, I feel.
Yes, I think everyone is muted. Maybe the stream is not getting comments from us at all right now. I don't know what could be causing that, but this is a fun experience. We probably do.
You can hear me? Yay!
Okay.
We fixed it.
Cool. Okay, great. So I'll start that back up while Evan figures out what went wrong there. Basically, bear with us, guys. It's a process. So we were talking about recording other game systems. So basically, Evan and I both play a ton of games. John's played a ton of games with us too. I work at a game store. If anybody doesn't know this, I manage like a pretty large game store in Southern Ontario, Black Knight Games, which is also where we play a lot of our local games. So we're not intending to stop playing War Machine or diminish playing War Machine even in the slightest. In fact, we're doubling the amount of War Machine that we're recording every week. But we want to do a couple of other series. Basically, the plan is to record kind of a bit of a longer mini-series, release it on a weekly or bi-weekly basis, probably have those videos go up on Wednesdays, maybe Fridays, possibly alternate those videos in terms of different game systems, and do a bit of a, we don't profess to have a depth of expertise that we do with War Machine in these game systems, but here are some of the other things that we're up to. So you get kind of a picture of some of the other stuff that we're doing. I'm always under the impression that a lot of wargaming skills are super transferable. So, like, playing a couple of games of 40k can give you some healthy and valuable perspective on War Machine, and playing a game of Guild Ball can really teach you a lot of some things that are valuable. Yeah, so that's the other thing is one of the things that I think we're super excited about is doing some of those smaller scale skirmish games.
Especially,
I
as
sorry.
I can be talking now. Especially as I was saying when I couldn't be heard. I personally enjoy a lot of miniature warband games, kind of like Mordheim, Frostgrave, etc., etc. Which leads into our third announcement, and probably the most set in stone one of the three, is that we're going to be playing some of this. We are going to be doing a Shadow Wars Armageddon League with a lot of the terrain you may have saw earlier today on our Facebook page, if you saw the video from of the table we went around. Owen was on the money. Yes, I put that on Facebook.
Yep, we sure did. So we got a little snapshot of a table that John and his partner Mary Kate have been working really hard on. Some gorgeous MDF terrain by Tectonic Craft Studios. A bunch of stuff that Mary Kate and John made out of...
Definitely not pop
everything.
cans.
Everything.
Pop cans, primer, popsicle sticks, like super gorgeous looking stuff that they put together. We'll be using that. We'll be supplementing it with some recording down at the store, and the intention is to complement a whole bunch of stuff in the studio with terrain that we record at the store. And that series is going to involve each of us playing 2 separate war bands, introducing the characters from those war bands, talking a little bit about what teams we're going to be playing, and recording that as a longer series, aired weekly, that focuses a bit more on the personality and the character involved and less on the competitive element of Shadow War. If you've played Shadow War, it's not so much a competitive game as it is a bit of a storytelling game, and we really want to dig deep into that kind of storytelling component.
So each of us is probably going to... Well, we all have what warbands we want to play in mind, and we're also going to really amp up the setting, like really dig deep into what the setting we're going to have is, because it might not necessarily be on Armageddon, because not all the factions make sense there. A lot of them were added just because people wanted to play them in the system, which is totally fair. But we can totally come up with another MacGuffin that people can go find and be plucky adventurers about.
Yeah, I have a sweet Grey Knight team that Ben painted for me. Ben from Primal Painting Studio, and they look like these guys here. They're super cool, and they have the things you'd expect Grey Knights to have: storm bolters and power weapons, nemesis warding staffs and nemesis falchions. And my favorite guy is this dude here with the Psy Cannon. This is Av. He's the best.
You're just getting a lot of background noise when you talk.
Oh,
still.
Sorry.
As you're doing the podcast at the store, and it's game night as always because it's a game store.
Yep.
So I'm actually pretty excited because I want to do an Inquisitor warband using the Inquisitor Greyfax model from the Triumvirate of the Imperium kit. And I would like...
Sweet model.
I want her to be my Inquisitor Shirley Holmes.
Shirley Holmes. There you go. Leaning right into that.
Because I kind of think an Inquisitor warband based off of Sherlock Holmes just makes sense and could be really fun. And that's a sweet model really cool to do it with.
Are you going to have like a Watson dude with a storm shield?
Oh, he's going to be a Crusader.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. Because you can have
2
Crusaders with storm shields and power swords, which is just insane. Like, 3-up invulns everywhere. Cool.
You can have a Minecraft character. Is Minecraft going to be a Crusader too?
Yep. He's the other one.
Nice.
And then I have to come up with people for the Acolytes. Because they can be snipers and... or they can go close combat. They're really neat how they work. I don't know how many of you viewers have actually played Shadow War or know what it's all about, but it's a super cool warband game where it's based in the 40k universe. And you control a plucky warband of people looking for Promethium, or whatever we decide that's going to be in our campaign. And you go around and play the campaign missions. And the best part about it is that winning or losing the scenario isn't necessarily what makes the game. It's making sure your people don't permanently die, because that's a thing, and just getting as many Promethium as you can, as opposed to, oh, I won this, I'm going to win the campaign now. And while that obviously helps getting you Promethium, because you're less likely to be dying if you're winning, it's not the entire thing.
Yeah, sorry, there's a question in the chat, are we adding any house rules? No. Sorry, we will be possibly adding some house rules. We're taking some suggestions. I've actually played quite a bit of Shadow Wars, and some of the early criticisms of the game very rapidly fell apart when you kind of used the longer league rules. It's a really random game, so we might use a little bit of polite rubber banding. Like if a player's band is doing super badly, we might add some things to make it stay engaging and stay fun. But generally speaking, we're taking the focus off the competitive play. We're using a lot of rule of cool type stuff. So if something should work, or it feels like it would be more fun if it worked, we're going to kind of probably say, yeah, why not make it work? If anybody out there has any thoughts or has played Shadow Wars and has any idea of some house rules that just make the game better, or at least make better videos of the game, I'd be keen to listen. If you want to message us or contact us about that, I'd be on board with listening about that.
Yeah. To that point, I think it's a good time to take some questions. And I think I might have just kicked my microphone cord out if I can't be heard again.
I can still hear you.
Okay, good. In that case, hopping to our questions from both Facebook and YouTube. We don't have too many, and just in that time, we can let the Twitch chat build up with the questions they want to ask.
Yeah, if you guys have any questions, we'll be taking them at the same time, too. This doesn't have to be Shadow Wars specific, obviously. It would be great if you've got questions, if you've got a burning Arcane Assist related question, this is the time. But if you don't have a burning Arcane Assist question, you just want to ask us about something specific, we'll be answering some serious and some non-serious questions in a pretty healthy mix. Anyway, Evan, why don't you give us the first question here?
So our first question is from Paul on YouTube. He says, I want to know, will we see more Khador? And I feel like this is a good question just in general to talk about how we pick what factions we're playing for the channel and how things get bumped around in our production schedule.
Sure.
So if you want to take that away, Tim.
Oh, I'm going to talk about our production schedule. Okay, that's fine.
Sure.
So one of the reasons you don't see more Khador is because sometimes it's about what we've got painted. When I want to showcase a new list, I paint the models necessary to paint that list. If my week is particularly busy and I don't have the opportunity to paint those models, sometimes that gets pushed back a little bit. And if we're kind of recording a little bit impromptu, like we've all had a really busy week and we want to get 4 games in on a Friday and we want to have them all recorded, on Monday, John will say, what's the schedule for this week? What are we playing? And I'll say, I'm going to play this thing and I'm going to try to get 2 games played of this list to show off and play that list as well. I'm hoping Evan can play this list and this list. And if Evan says, I need to paint 45 models for that list, and I don't have time to come out on Thursday and play 2 practice games with it, then I'm going to say, okay, bump that one down the line. We bump that one down the schedule. Ian, who's a local at our store, he has a couple of times before lent us some of his gorgeously painted Khador. He has really, really nice Khador painted. And we may borrow some of that from him in the future because he's pretty close to faction complete, and that would save us a lot of production time. I'm still quite insistent with all the guys that I want lists to be played at least a few times, but we've had a lot of questions about the Vlad Rockets list, which I've talked about quite a bit because it's very popular among members of our WTC team, many of whom live in Southern Ontario and are really, really competent players. So I'd like to showcase a little bit more of that. But I think actually, could we play more Khador is maybe the most frequent question we receive in terms of list requests. So it's definitely something that we're looking to address in the coming year.
Yeah. Part of that's on me, because I'll have a ton of Khador, and you can't quite, hold on. Hold on.
You're just gonna pick up the.
I'm just gonna turn these two shelves are entirely Kador, with some Menoth. You can probably see Harvey, but yeah, that's a lot, and a lot of it's not painted because I'm lazy. But
get good.
Yeah, get good. So that kind of answers like what makes us pick what factions. Like, obviously, new releases that we want to showcase will obviously get bumped if we can paint them fast enough. But yeah, that's how we do things. Our second question is from Liam. He says, "Hey guys, great year of content. Thank you very much. I was wondering, when you build lists, how rigid are your strategies? Do you build a particular set of things, or is it more able to handle various threats?" Yeah. Do you build to do a particular set of things, or is it more set to be able to handle various threats? I think we each have very different methods when it comes to this. So each of us can probably answer this question in a very different way. For me, it's a lot of looking to what I know people are going to be playing around me. So, like, now it's Ghost Fleet. Woo! Do I have something that can answer Ghost Fleet? As well as, I always need something that can answer armor, because regardless of what faction you're playing against, armor is a thing that you're going to have to face. And then the alternative to that, or what complements that, is hopefully both something that can play against Ghost Fleet and something that's good against either infantry as a whole, or able to get a lot of boosted attacks into play against something like Legion and Feyana. So for me, a lot of my current logic, because I've been building lists with Scorn, and my current pairing is Xerxes 2 and Zal 2. And that's because Zal can put out a ton of boosted attacks, and if you've seen the episode of our Ghost Fleet series on the channel, you see what he can do against Ghost Fleet. The boosted attacks are great against Legion and Feyana, and a lot of Legion casters can't handle that much high armor. They're better at cracking large single targets like Colossals. And Xerxes just out-threats most armor and can crack through it like it's nothing. So that's my philosophy when it comes to it. John?
Making lists for me is a little different. I tend to go with what the Facebook troll page wants to see. They talk to me quite a bit. We throw lists together. We go back and forth for a bit. Then I make sure it's okay to bring to the stream if it's worthwhile. But like Evan said, Ghost Fleet is huge right now. So I need a list that can answer that. And currently my pairing is Doomy 3 with the Sea King and Blank and Banos the Heroes. There's no caster right now to go into that. I mean, trying Gunny with Dozer, Explosivo, all that fun stuff. I've only got 3 or 4 games with it. I need to test a few more things, tweak it a bit. But if I went to a tournament this weekend, it would probably be Doomy 3, Magic 3. I love Magic 3.
That's fair. I guess with regard to my process, I do a little. I mean, I played some Ghost Fleet, but I mean, for me, I make lists for a lot of different reasons. I mean, I originally ordered Ghost Fleet when the Press Gang program was officially announced as closing down, because I wanted to buy something fluffy. And I mean, that sounds absurd now, but a bunch of the ex-press gangers were kind of setting up this like Revenant crew thing, where they were like, you know, we're going to be kind of the remains of the press gang, and we're going to continue to coordinate as volunteers and stuff. So I thought, like, that's something I wouldn't mind being involved in. That seems like it would be a cool kind of organization, and why not do a fun thing? And with the last of my press gang points, I'll order Revenant crew models, and that'll be kind of like a way that I can order this themey Revenant crew list, and I can have a cool themey. Okay, so Evan's giving me a long sigh. I was like, I'll get a cool themey list, we can showcase it on the channel, and I can talk about how cool the Revenant crew is. And then I painted that list to showcase on the channel, and then Corey, who's on my WTC team, is like, hey man, I think Ghost Fleet's a really tough list. And Crix got some really good answers to Signar. I'm not sure what I'm going to do about this in WTC. And I was planning to go out to Kamloops for a week to practice with him. And I said, well, I'll bring Ghost Fleet and we can shoot that list around a bit. And we did. And it was really good. And maybe...
Too good?
No, I wouldn't say too good, but just very, very high skill cap in a way that was really satisfying to play. And then I had that bag still packed when I was at the Sioux, and members of my team really pressured me. They were like, we think you should play. And I was like, okay. I'll play. I'll play this stuff that I've still got packed in my bag from before. And I did, and it works really well. And now I guess that's what I do, is just play Ghost Fleet. But in answer to the question, I pick lists for the stream based on what I want to see showcased on the stream and getting a variety of factions. I also pick lists that I want to personally get more practice with in my evolution as a player. And then I also pick lists for the stream that I think showcase good matchups. Sometimes I'll pick a list as a bit of an anvil list to kind of have a hammer crash against. If I want to give John an opportunity to show off a premise that's really clever of something that he's doing, I'll give a list where the matchup isn't extremely unfavorable for the list that I'm bringing, but I know that there's a good game to be played there, or that the visual element of the game is really compelling. And lately I have been playing a lot of Crux on the channel in the interests of practicing for the WTC, because a lot of my War Machine time has been dedicated to that recently. I was just going to mention, I think, Evan, it would be good to maybe knock out a couple of the questions that have been asked in the channel. John, if instead of answering the questions in the chat, you just answer them verbally, maybe that would work a little bit better.
Yes, also because the chat isn't on the screen right now, and we're planning on putting this on YouTube for those who couldn't tune in now, and they won't be able to see those questions answered. So,
yeah.
I still have more from YouTube and then a couple from Facebook, and then we'll do...
Let's bounce around.
Yeah,
I want people to stay engaged here.
Sounds good.
So...
let's go back to Bearcat. He asked if Grim 1 is a variable right now in the 2016 Steamroller.
Specifically what he said is, can Grim 1 be a competitive Steamroller Warlock? I'm sure that's not restricted to 2016.
But currently right now, I don't think so. I think he's a little lower than what we need right now. Like, we have Ragnar, Doomy 3, Grim 2 is better than Grim 1. So why wouldn't you just bring Grim 2?
I'm just going to go on record here as disagreeing with that statement, but okay.
You may, but...
I feel like they're completely different casters.
I just think Grim 2 is better at what Grim 1 can do. Like, shooting-wise, Grim 2 is just better. You can bring a better list. And then you need to pair Grim 2 with, like, a Brick Heavy, and then Doomy 3 is there.
That is, that is a minority opinion you have there, John. And I'm not saying I even wholly disagree with it, but, like, everyone I've ever talked to has been like, Grim 1, amazing. Grim 2, pretty good still.
Okay, I feel like this is dodging the question entirely.
Yeah, maybe. It's yeah, it's interesting. Anyway, I think probably that's a good version of what John thinks. Next question we've got here is do any of us we play much Convergence? The answer right now is right now no. However, I do own fully painted Convergence, early Mark II fully painted Convergence, early Convergence fully painted Convergence. So I don't have enough Galvanizers to play like the Axis list. The two casters that I played when I was playing Convergence as a Steamroller pairing were LeConte and Aurora, so they're a little bit out of favor. We actually have an Aurora game featured on the channel, if anyone ever watched that one. That's from a little while ago. Almost a year now.
That was the second video on the channel.
Yeah, in a week that will be a year old. But we may go back to playing some more Convergence. I'd like to do a bit more of it. The thing about Convergence is that there are four things. They're very high skill cap. That means that you have to play a whole bunch of games before you feature them in a video, because otherwise you're going to embarrass yourself. You're not going to show what the faction is capable of. You're going to reinforce a lot of the, in my opinion, incorrect opinions that are out there that say, Convergence isn't good enough because they're a limited faction. I genuinely believe that Convergence is good enough despite being a limited faction. And I think they have really the capacity to be a super compelling Steamroller pairing. And I had a gentleman who's playing in a big event messaged me just the other day to talk about the Convergence list he was playing, and they have a broad depth of coverage, and they ask some really challenging questions. I can probably play Destruction Initiative with the models that I have fully painted, but the second problem with Convergence is that my paint scheme is done by a friend of mine who's been doing some home renovations and has been just super, super busy lately. So I couldn't ask him to paint new things for it, and it's a very, very advanced, very challenging paint scheme inspired off the movie Metropolis, with really, really bright oranges and tarnished silvers that are just impossible to replicate for somebody who doesn't have his level of ability. So to be fully painted with Convergence, first I'd have to build a list and practice it and get confident in it that would be relevant in the current metagame. Second, I'd have to get the models for that list painted by somebody who doesn't have the time to do that right now and may not until the summer is over. So I'd like to show off more Convergence, but I'd like to do it right, and that means we're waiting for at least a little bit of time. If we had a local player who had a lot of Convergence and was playing them very well, had lists that I appreciated, and was able to show them off, I would definitely borrow those models if that player was willing and show them on the channel. So if anybody's local and has any interest in offering that service, I'd be totally on board with learning them and playing them. But until we're at such a time that we can do it right, I don't want to do it kind of badly. I think that it perpetuates a negativity about the faction that just isn't correct. Pete Soretti asked a great question. So I want to just answer this question with a bit of an anecdote. So we played in Rochester, and Peter and his partner Trish were there. They recently started a channel. If anyone hasn't checked it out yet, it's called No Dice Gaming. Really, really nice stuff. They're starting to produce some videos. And they asked some good questions and are really nice people. They were at the Sioux this year. It was cool to see somebody wearing a Southern Ontario Open shirt at the event in Rochester. But I just, my Iron Lich Overseer blew up. Just straight blew up. If anyone's seen an Iron Lich Overseer model before, it's a base with a tiny, tiny stick going straight up. And then it's a giant metal ball. And then it has 3 spindly arms and a stick. So it broke, obviously, at the base of that model and fell over. And I was like, oh, I'll just glue that back together. So I put a bit of glue without using a hobby knife to clean the surface and tucked it back into the spot on the bottom of the base. And it tried to anchor an inverse cone on a medium base. And it immediately fell over and broke 3 arms. So I said, okay, I'll glue it back, and I'll glue all 3 arms on. And it immediately fell over and broke the staff off of one of the arms, broke all 3 arms, and broke this middle portion again. So I said, hey, Pete, you look like you know things about hobbies. Please fix my model. And he did, and totally managed to fix it. It's fine. It made the rest of the event. I played it in 2 more games that day, and packed it up in my bag quite safely, and I sure haven't unpacked my bag yet. I definitely don't even want to look. I'm just too afraid.
Oh, boy.
So I'm hoping that when I don't unpack my bag and just take it to Seattle, it'll be fine. It's definitely an answer to that question. By the way, the question was, did Tim's ILO survive the trip home? The answer is maybe.
We don't know.
Too afraid to check.
Right now, it's a bit of a Schrodinger's ILO.
Go check now.
No way. 0% chance. That's not happening.
Boy.
Let's paint it, too. Because we featured it on the channel.
From what I can tell, that's what we currently have in terms of questions from the chat. So...
Or YouTube channel questions?
We have a YouTube channel question from someone who's in the chat, from Bearcat10199. Are you guys planning on doing anything with the new battle engines now that they're out of CID? I would really like to see the War Wagon in particular. I would like to hear what you guys think of all the new rules and abilities it got. Thanks and congrats on a year of my favorite Battle Report channel. Thank you very much.
Aww.
Well, okay.
The battle. I'm waiting for someone to paint mine.
We're just gonna let John talk about. John, do you have any interest in playing the War Wagon?
I've had interest since day one in CID. I got a War Wagon. I gave it to Evan to paint.
It's over. It's currently over there. It's not painted yet. It's a work in progress.
I am looking to play the War Wagon with Madrek 3.
Okay. What's that list about?
So it's in the new theme.
Creel Company.
I'm bringing a lot of guns. Bomber, Pyro, Storm, Troll. Whereas Battle Group. Then basically the War Wagon. Scattergunners. People don't see them. Bushwhackers. 2 units of Fire Eaters. And a Pummeler crew.
That Pummeler crew.
All units people don't use.
Is that just because you can't snowflake hard enough, or is there
I think
a
that list with Spell Piercer and Fortune can get work done, especially in the new theme. They can see through each other to shoot, so they don't need line of sight. So War Wagon can take off a whole unit of infantry by himself. And with the new POW 17, can actually do some damage to a heavy. AoE 5.
Personally,
did it get cheaper too? Sorry,
it is 16 points.
Nice.
Personally,
just
no.
Go ahead, by all means.
No.
Well, the reason we haven't seen it yet is because of Evan. So, Evan, go ahead, talk.
I was gonna say I think Speed 8 turtles are pretty good.
How many turtles have you painted since you received?
I don't even own one. I need a derp turtle now.
So I own a few battle engines, and we'll probably be showing them off at some point in the near future. One of the battle engines that I own is the Sacral Vault, and it's really compelling in the new edition. Obviously, I've already played many times the Wraith engine. It gets marginally better and is still worth putting in a whole bunch of lists. I probably should get a second one so that I can play some really degenerate versions of Dark Host. Yeah, that would be really great. I also have a Meat Thresher. It's in a box, and I would like to play it. It got really interesting. There's a whole bunch of really compelling battle engine options. I guess I have 2 fully painted Arcantrix Force Generators. I should probably play those too. Those would be really excellent. And they're... Oh, yeah, sorry, that's true. I also have 2 fully painted Storm Striders.
That is so good now.
Man, I have a few models.
That's one way to put it.
I am looking at the pegboard of models that I have here and thinking I should paint some more stuff. I have 2 fully painted Storm Striders and 2 fully painted Arcantrix Force Generators, and I want to show off both in lists pretty soon. I think the Arcantrix Force Generator especially went through many, many iterations of testing, and now that it counts for free points in the Defenders theme, I think it is maybe one of the best options. It's really strong and really scary. And the Storm Strider is just amazing. And it has maybe 5 casters I want to play it with, which is really cool.
Sacral Vault got better, especially into Ghost Fleet.
Yeah, the Sacral Vault, not only did it get a lot better, but it is just great into Ghost Fleet. And it's great into Ghost Fleet for Legion. It's great into Ghost Fleet for... No, Trolls don't want to play the Sacral Vault into Crix. I don't think that's... I'm aware that it is available to your faction, but I don't think your Ghost Fleet answer involves playing a Sacral Vault.
I can have RFP on literally every infantry model in Melee, or this guy.
Who actually technically lost RFP, but he gained an ability that denies leader model promotion. But yeah, that's good too.
Point still stands.
I played actually a game against a Sacral Vault Caliban list at the Rochester Masters in day 2 against Paul Bartlett, who's a ridiculously good player, and he almost killed me in a game that I was super sure that I had won. He was like, so I do this, and then I should kill you on pretty much average dice, and I was like, oh yeah, no, you should kill me maybe twice on average dice. I think I actually take 27 damage. And he started executing his plan, and his dice just hated him. They just totally murdered him. I got really lucky, and it just didn't quite work for him. So that was really good. But Sacral Vault, super good. Caliban, super good. If you're I don't know what faction I want to play, but I sure want to be able to beat Ghost Fleet. You should explore Caliban with the Sacrivault. Yeah. Might be one of the better subs available to you out there. Sorry, Evan. What other questions did you have?
So
from our list there?
That's the CID one. We're on to Facebook now.
Okay.
Our good friend Miles asked us, what do you think keeps you going as podcasters? It's definitely appreciated by the community, but it's a lot of work for you as well. Also, what are your recent favorite beers? Thanks, Miles. We really appreciate it.
Sounded super sarcastic, but we actually do really
no, we do.
appreciate it.
Yeah, no. That was not sarcastic at all. Which also sounded really sarcastic, but that's just my tone of voice, I swear.
Yeah, my recent favorite beer is by Railway Brewing. They make a beer called Witty Traveler, which is with white pepper and cardamom, and it is super delicious. It's a wheat beer. I like wheat beers, especially in the summer.
I'm a Guinness fan. All day, every day.
Doesn't matter if it's the winter or not, just Guinness.
Just Guinness.
So, like...
I wouldn't be drinking one now, but I work in like 2 hours. So.
There aren't wrong answers here, and that's not a wrong answer.
I was going to say, maybe if I were cultured and not a 20-year-old in college, I would have a better answer to this, but it's kind of just like...
If you say Pabst Blue Label, you're off the channel.
No.
Oh, God.
I was going to...
I'm leaving. I'm leaving.
I was going to say, first favorite kind of beer is free. Second favorite kind of beer is cold.
It's John's fridge.
But my personal favorite is Rickard's Red, but I'm sure you have a better thing than that because you know what beer is and should taste like or something.
Oh, Evan, you are a delight. And what keeps us going as podcasters, I'm gonna say other than beer, it's engagement with the community for me. I'm really extroverted, so I get almost all of my emotional energy from other people. It's like if I have a conversation with folks and they're really excited, I get really excited. And if I have a conversation with people and they're really negative and they're really down, I get really negative and really down. So I do my best to see the change that I want to be the change that I want to see. That's the one. And inject a lot of positivity into the community and respond positively to people's comments. Whenever people message me and say hey, I've got some questions with this or what's this thing, I love trying to answer those as promptly as possible because I want to invite that kind of conversation to happen. When we get comments on our videos, I love to see that. It's not just the dopamine release of somebody being I liked the thing that you posted, although that's nice and scientifically proven to be a thing that works. But it's also just we're putting a lot of effort to something and someone cares. So that's awesome. That's the thing that matters a lot to us is that you care is one of the reasons that we can continue to care.
Yeah, for sure. Going off Tim's point, I love the interaction I've been getting with people. Before the Sue, probably wasn't known much as a patrol player, but after the Sue, I've had so many comments, Facebook posts, messages about trolls, and I just enjoy dojoing with people, Europeans, Australians, it's all over people. 1 a.m, I can message someone and yeah, we can try that. And it's not just me trying a list, they're actually playing the list as well. So it's we're getting different metas and how it performs. And it's been a year. It's been fun, ups and downs, been busy. It's going to get busier. I'm a stay-at-home dad and I work at night, so that's going to be fun to try.
Well, for myself, assuming you're done, John.
Yeah, go ahead.
It comes from more of the fact that my background for both my schooling and a lot of what I've just done in the past has been in communications. So it's a lot of filming, it's a lot of doing audio and video. It's just a lot of this anyway, and just kind of being in the moment and doing this kind of showbiz-esque thing, because I also did a lot of musical theater. It's what I enjoy doing. It's putting something on for people who are going to enjoy it, and like just the fact that people are enjoying it is what's keeping that going. And as John said earlier, it's also like awesome just to have people message you and be like, hey, I'm looking for some help with X list. What are your recommendations? And I can help with that. I can say some things, and it's actually going to change what that person's going to do, or it won't. And but you know, it's a nice time. It's fun. So I think that about covers that. Thank you very much, Miles. We've got a couple more questions from the chat. Again, from the Palabin. I just lost it. I think it was, what are your top 5 battle engines?
5 battle engines.
Yep, that one.
In order.
In order. I'm going to have to pull out War Room for this one.
I think the War Wagon's up there.
I can do my top 5 battle engines in order. Number 1, the Transfinite Emergence, the TEP. I think the Convergence battle engine was the best battle engine pre-CID. I think it got literally no changes, and I think it remains the best battle engine. It fills an extremely distinct and powerful role in its faction. It's a very, very flexible piece in a game where flexibility and tactical adjustment is one of the most important things. And I think like that's one of the really interesting design elements. Convergence is a faction that doesn't have tons of options. So they have the most powerful battle engine that has the highest level of flexibility. Well, that makes sense. Like, you can afford to give them something super, super strong because they don't have that many things. So when they can always be a presence, it means that they can always have a place in the metagame. It did. That's absolutely right. It got 1 box for prime number reasons. That's totally correct. So that's what it's supposed to get. Why not give it a fluff adjustment that doesn't really change its objective power level much at all? For me, number 2 battle engine is the Stormstrider. The Stormstrider gets turned up to 11 by a couple of casters and some support models available in faction. It's really neat because it's got a very powerful dimension, and it's got some really, really powerful support abilities, but it also has a capacity in which it's limited. It's electrical type damage, it's powerful against Jax. That means things with electrical immunity also offer the same kind of vulnerabilities that you see from other things that are present in the Signar faction. So I think it's really, really, really good, but I don't think it's broken or a problem. I think it's an excellent role player, and there's a lot of places that I want to put it right away. 3rd place goes to the Wraith Engine, my old standby. It doesn't hurt that the Wraith Engine is currently available in 3 theme forces, and in one of those theme forces it counts toward free points. That's the Bane theme force. It supports Undead really well, which is a major identity of the faction, and an advantage of many of their casters, which means it provides half of the Kreia Animus to Undead models within a 10-inch bubble. It's incorporeal, so it's really really powerful defensively, and it also can pressure a lot of things. There's a game against Benoit that the Moose Machine guys streamed, which is the Ghost Fleet mirror match. And I saw the way he deployed his army, and I saw the way the game was shaping up, and I ran my Wraith Engine to stand exactly 4 inches away from his flag, and it never attacked or moved again. Until, the lines had closed and there was a moment where he could do something about it. But for 4 full turns, Dennegra did not have the choice to go just dominate her own flag and punish me for holding back. She had to be really, really aggressive, which is one of the reasons that I think I won that game, is by limiting her options. And an incorporeal battle engine is really powerful. Like, it's oppressive in all the right ways. The thing that keeps it pretty far down on my list, down to number 3, is the fact that it doesn't really have damage output. It's a super, super tuned support battle engine, but it's really, really low on the damage output scale. Application of Dark Shroud is really powerful, but 2-3 POW 15s is low. What else? Number 4 on my list is the Grimkin battle engine. The Death Knell. The Death Knell offers the Creelstone aura effect, but it's conditional on your opponents using abilities to trigger it. However, it's an always-on type of aura rather than having a resource cost. So it's not exactly comparable to the Crailstone, but it's a really, really strong effect. And the bubble's a little bit larger because it's on a huge base. It's also really fast. Like, it's a speed 6 battle engine. It's a cav model. It has a lot of tools that can make it relevant in sort of the late game process. And then you guessed it, the last model on the list is the AFG. I think a lot of people said the AFG was already fine pre-CID, and I think those people were mistaken. There's a reason it wasn't in a lot of lists. It was in some lists, but it wasn't a really compelling choice. It was an okay model that in the right circumstances could do really well. Now what it is it's a somewhat punitively slow piece. It desperately wants to aim. It runs on turn 1, only gets 8 inches. It went back down to speed 4 in the internal design process in the last week of testing. And like, it can run 8, and then on the turn after that it wants to walk 4, but doing so it really reduces its output. Not as much as it did before, but it does reduce its output. So it's a battle engine with some hard choices, but it's a great gun. Like, it's a really great gun platform that has really excellent tools. It has access to some assassination piece abilities. It has access to some control abilities. Like, it's a great battle engine that does a lot of things well and is difficult to remove if you play it carefully. I mean, that's my list of top 5 battle engines. Tell me if you guys disagree.
Well, I didn't even think of the Grimkin one. It definitely wasn't up there just because we haven't played much against it. Just CID games.
We played like 30 games.
We haven't played 30 games. I haven't seen what the finish is yet. We don't know what the finish of it is, right?
Okay.
Top 5 currently in meta that I play against that I know of. Your top 3, same. I would put the change from Battle Engine before CID to now. The War Wagon is number 5. And number 4, I would put Sacrival. I think it's just a strong battle engine current right now in the meta.
Okay.
Any reasons as to why, or just cause?
Well, I'm a troll player. War Wagon has to be up there. No, the change. No, the change from the War Wagon from before to now is a huge
If anyone was
difference.
wondering what a conversation with John is like, this is a perfect example.
Yeah, that's all it is.
He knows what he's about.
That's all I've been playing. Storm Striders just because it's amazing right now. And like Tim said, you can put a few casters and it can go crazy. Haven't looked into the change to the Sacrivault much. I just know that a lot more people are playing it now because it can play into Ghost Fleet. And right now it's just a huge boogeyman. And I figure that if you're playing Legion, one of our local Legion players has been playing that quite a bit. And it's to some success.
So, in my opinion, I agree almost entirely with Tim. I would probably switch out the Grimkin battle engine for the Sacral Vault.
Sure.
Because while the Grimkin battle engine's super powerful, as far as we are aware, at least, while it's super powerful, you're gonna take it because of it. It's not taking up any other slots necessarily for other stuff in your list. Meanwhile, battle engines were like a contention for like a heavy. You could take a heavy instead of this. If you're playing Grimkin and not taking that battle engine, I think you're gonna have some bad times.
There's probably a fairly gun-centric version of a Wanderer list that doesn't take it, but yeah, I think broadly speaking, you're right.
Yeah. So I think that about covers that. Moving on to the next question, which was, John, what's the best ability the War Wagon gained? Was it the ability to make impact attacks forever and always?
Pressure weight.
And follow up to that, I think we also had a question that maybe got missed. Is John excited for the Northkin theme?
I'm pretty excited. That's not a question.
All right, and that's all the discussion we need to have about those things.
We can go forever.
Just smile and nod.
I got a whole list right here we can talk about.
Oh God.
The hooch holler does actually sound hilarious though.
Stumbling drunk.
It's true. It's I
Stumbling
think
drunk is
the
a really good
I
movie.
think the funniest
good.
part about that is that
I called it.
yeah, no, well, yeah, you called it in a way that was like, oh, I want there to be a troll tavern structure that gives everything
Yep.
stumbling drunk, and instead we have that but on wheels,
Pulled by bear.
pulled by
Strictly
bears.
better.
Just amazing.
Bear
Uh,
Tavern. It will forever be known.
Shoots
It's probably
oil.
full of
Her-
Coors Light though.
Courage of the Forefathers asks, so what's the deal with all these faction hopping casters? Sturgis, Kane, Old Witch, etc., and are you in favor of this trend? Personally, I love it. I think that it adds a lot of cool interactions with both rules, like things like Kane can take Ace in both Mercs and Signar, assuming he gets a theme. And Old Witch being in both Grimkin and Kador is cool, and from a lore perspective. And just people being able to hop sides like that really makes the story interesting. And plus, I play, again, going back to, way at the beginning, we play a lot of games. One of my favorite tabletop miniatures games is Malifaux, and every faction in that game has at least one person who can go in multiple factions, and that's always cool because they can draw stuff from either side. And I like how that works. So yeah, no, I'm totally into it.
Yeah, I'm a big proponent of that as well. I think storytelling is one of the things that, I mean, sometimes people say they talk about playing a game for the mechanics, but I think what sucks people into a game and really excites people about a game and keeps their interest long term is the narrative component. Staying invested in the storytelling, staying invested in what's going on. And one of the biggest criticisms of War Machine was that they weren't comfortable enough killing off their characters because of the Warcaster mechanic, and as a result, their story got a little bit stagnant. And that's a huge criticism of a miniatures game because, again, it's the story that keeps everybody emotionally invested. And I see Combos might join the chat. Now I feel like we're a big deal on the internet. I'm not even kidding.
Thanks for
because-
watching, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah!
But yeah, like staying invested in the story element of the game is so critical. So I think faction hopping casters. It also reminds me a little bit of the trickster element in mythology. So tricksters are the best characters in mythology because their allegiances are mixed. You don't know necessarily if a trickster is going to be. There's a line in Neil Gaiman did an adaptation of Norse mythology. I think it's called the Norse mythos or something like that. Anyway, it's just a retelling of a bunch of classic Norse mythologies with his sort of storyteller spin on it. And one of the lines he has in the foreword is that Loki was always the downfall of the gods. He'd always be the reason that they'd get into all of the troubles that they got into. But he was also always the solution to their problems. He was always the creative individual who came up with the way that he saved them from the problem. So the notion of trickster characters are some of the most iconic moments for storytelling because their allegiance is so mixed and their character is so complicated. And I think the idea of faction switching casters is an opportunity to really explore some trickster characters in a way that is going to evoke really, really neat tales. And those kind of moments for storytelling, I think, are what are going to get people excited about the game. And I think they give you some great opportunities. And yes, probably.
And yes, probably. Oh
sorry.
yeah. So Loki is alcohol? Okay. Cool.
Yep. The solution and
So,
the problem.
Adding on to
There's
that,
actually-
can we please get Blighted Kruger? Can that happen?
Well, I suspect that Blighted Kruger might be a part of a Blightergast faction.
Well, that's yeah. With sub-factions and stuff being a thing. Also Hierarch Vlad for Hierarch?
That's less okay.
It'd be super cool. Undead
Okay,
Undead
let's
Karchev.
answer some more questions. Sorry.
But I like
here's
this
a
game.
We actually had someone allude to this a little bit earlier. I was going to mention, Combos might asked about Company of Iron. Are we stoked for Company of Iron? Yes, I am stoked for Company of Iron. I think it's going to be super cool and really fun. As we mentioned earlier in the cast, like small skirmish style games are really exciting. I'm jumping ahead to that question a little bit, Evan, because we had somebody mention before, like on the video that we posted, is this for Company of Iron? I don't have all the rules for Company of Iron yet. and I want to play around with it a little bit. We played around with Shadow Wars for maybe a month and a half before we decided, yes, we can record this, and yes, we have a way we're going to do it. But I want to do that with Company of Iron. That said, Evan and I played in an Iron Kingdoms role-playing group for the better part of a year, and recently wrapped it. Amazing story, told beautifully by our good friend Ian. But that storytelling, that lore, that whole experience, that's something we're really invested in and interested in bringing to the channel.
There was also a question we skipped in there, but yes,
Yep.
Company of Iron, super cool looking. There was I lost it. How hard do you guys find switching factions for battle reports?
Extremely.
Super easy.
Cool. No.
So it varies completely for all three of us. Tim has played every faction of this game. He will continue to play every faction of this game, and he knows.
He owns every faction.
He owns every. He will find this 10 times easier than anyone, and he'll just be able to do it like that. And you can probably see that just judging by the way he plays everything on the channel. For myself, I've played this game for a decent number of years. I always enjoy hopping factions. I did it for the longest time, and until this past year, I haven't found a faction that I've stuck with for more than 6 months. And now I have, and I'm doing that. So I'm pretty used to hopping around, but you can tell when I've been off a faction for a while. For example, when I play Khador, sometimes you'll see it's been a while, and I'll think that the Iron Fang Pikemen are still defense 13 because it's Mark II. We make mistakes because of that, and that's not great, but that's why we want to get games in beforehand.
Sometimes we throw those videos out.
Sometimes we throw those videos out.
Yes. For myself, I've been playing for about a year and a half, year and 3/4 now. It'll be 2 years in September.
I was going to say.
Year and 3/4.
Year and 3/4. Exclusively trolls, except for a 3-month period before the sale.
Wait,
and I even threw Signar out the door.
Wait. You played a whole bunch of minions.
That's true. Yeah, you did.
Not a whole bunch.
Mm-hmm.
You played minions from September to almost January.
I did not.
There are videos of you doing it.
We're playing minions.
We have
what I want to do.
But it doesn't matter if you wanted to do it. You did it for 3 months. You owned a whole bunch of models. You painted gators. You played maybe 25 Rasks lists. You misgender classified Alton Ashley in every video we played.
Because she's a she.
All right. I hope that answers.
I hate switching factions, as you can tell.
I'm indifferent.
Trolls, I can play trolls all day.
And now you know why we have so many troll battle reports on the channel.
And so many Signar and Calibines.
Caliban.
Oh my god. Okay, so...
Oh god, no, wait! We can't say that word. We already have.
Okay. So, the Swamp Jafar of Minions, whose name shall not be mentioned.
Caliban.
John, why are you doing this? We have rules. Okay, so there is something we refer to as... I'm just going to say it. What are you doing?
I'm going to grab him.
Oh, you are just
Quick! Explain it before he breaks everything!
Okay, so there's something called the Caliban Curse, and every single video we've ever recorded with Caliban has been destroyed impossibly in some way that we can't even fully rationalize. So John and I recorded a game with Caliban, and I was playing Haley 3 and he was playing Caliban, and we played the game and we had to pause the camera and John had to go take care of his kid maybe 4 or 5 times. And in the process of that video, Evan managed to string it all back together, and then just the last 5 minutes of the video were entirely gone. And maybe they got lost somewhere along the way.
No. There was 5 minutes in the middle of a clip missing, and it was the entirety of the assassination run.
Okay, yeah, so that's... And, there's no, there's not, a rational reason. That wasn't a spot where we didn't hit the play button on the camera. It just was gone for a reason that we can't explain. That happened. We also had a game where we lost the entire audio because of Caliban. We had a game where we started recording with Caliban, and the camera mysteriously got unplugged and shut off, and we didn't notice for 20 minutes. We had a game where we uploaded a game with Caliban, and the video was just completely corrupted and destroyed, and then we went back to the original SD cards, and they were, like, the video was gone. Like, this monster of a creature has just been the subject. So if anyone wants to see Caliban videos on our channel, fuck you. It's just not happening. Like, he has been all through our bodies and minds. We have tried to record with Caliban maybe 6 times. You get that monster away from me. Just remove that creature from our channel, John.
Beautifully painted.
Yep.
Yep, I painted that. Get it out of here. No!
Question.
If John disconnects from this, you'll know why.
Sorry. Favorite board games? It was a question asked.
Yes, that was the next one we were getting to. Favorite board games? I think me and Tim have the same answer to this question.
What's your answer?
Secret Hitler.
My answer is probably Twilight Imperium, but Secret Hitler is a very close second. Secret Hitler is a really great game. It's more of a social experience, but I'm pretty good at it, which, I mean, it doesn't hurt to be good at a game. I really, really like social games where there's an element of diplomacy involved in them. Actually, Diplomacy is a really great game, which I am nationally ranked at. I guess technically internationally ranked because the record's in the US, but I try to play it at Gen Con every year when I get there. I like to play in at least one Diplomacy tournament, and usually the Masters Finals. Really, really great game. Really fun to play. All politics. Twilight Imperium is a 4E game that also has a lot of politics in it, so I like it. Secret Hitler is another game that's basically all politics, and I love it a lot. Having worked at a game store, I have play and own literally hundreds and hundreds of games. You can probably see piles of board games behind me. Like, I'm in my office, we sort through used board games and stuff, so like there's a bunch of games back there that are going to be brought out and sold. Some of those games are mine. Yeah, like, you know, just stacks and stacks of games that, you know, it's a pretty big part of my life. What's your favorite game?
Settlers.
Yep. Settlers of Catan? Sorry, I had to clarify.
Yeah, Settlers of Catan.
Cool.
Ticket to Ride. I like family games. I got my family into playing, and now we're bonded closer. So those games are where my heart is. That's
fair. Anything that can really kind of increase the social experience. I like games that you can just kind of play and like sort of have a drink and shoot the shit and like enjoy too. Like that's a big deal.
I think I really like Snake Oil and Super Fight because of those reasons. Snake Oil mostly because I'm really good at it, but
you could sell. I don't know. There's probably a non.
There's some like okay. I distinctly remember in that game one of my friends trying to sell me a hand grenade.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it was just a grenade. It's like, no, I don't want the grenade. I'm a spy. That's not going to help me.
Now without pins. Oh, man.
Hey,
that's hilarious. Yeah, we play a lot of board games, and we like board games quite a bit. We recently played Sentinels: The Multiverse with some friends, and man, is that ever one of my favorite games. I'd forgotten how much I loved that game, and we got to play it at our regular RPG night, and had a ton of fun. And I kind of want to dig it out again, because I've got like so many like alternate versions of heroes and characters in that game, and it's really fun to play. King of Tokyo is really good too. King of New York is, the greatest virtue of King of Tokyo is that it's not very complex. King of New York adds some complexity to it, which isn't really a virtue, but is actually a really good game too, and I like it. My biggest criticism of King of Tokyo was that originally there was no difference between the characters, and then they released a couple of expansions that really give them like different unlockable abilities and stuff, which is a big deal for me because I love games where character starting place is diversified. There's a version of the Discworld universe game that it's called Ankh-Morpork, and you get a secret character at the beginning, and that's your win condition. And one person's win condition is to like capture 4 areas. Another person's win condition is to like have bad things happening in a whole bunch of areas. Someone else is trying to accumulate a bunch of money, and then one guy's just like, the game has to end and no one else has won. And I love games that involve disparate win conditions or disparate victory conditions or disparate player starting positions. Lords of Waterdeep is a little bit like that too. They have that element, although less so than I would like. That's if I can express a criticism of an otherwise really good game.
One of my favorite games that I haven't gotten to play in ages is Rattle Battle Grab the Loot.
Oh my god, that game is great.
So good. So if you've never heard of this game, which I don't blame you for because it's really weird, but you are pirates. And
a small Polish company that makes it.
You're pirates, and the entire game is the lid of the box is the sea, and everyone puts their dice in someone's hands, and you just drop them in the bin, and those dice are your ships, and wherever they land is where they are in the sea, and you have like a little measuring gauge, and that's how far you can move. You can spend your ship's sails to move faster, and if they land on cannons, you can shoot at people. Oh, it's just so good. It's so good. And then you can go once you've gotten loot and gone back to like the pirate cove town, you can buy certain upgrades, and there's one pile of just this is ridiculous stuff. Like there's, I think it's just like a buzzsaw you attach to the front of your ship.
Right.
And if you run through other boats, it just kills them. Yeah, no, it is such a good game.
I forgot that was a thing. The buzzsaw was so much fun.
We gotta play now.
Yeah.
I think Jay has a demo copy at the store. I think that's the only place we've got one. I was going to say, the same company that makes Rattle Battle also makes one of my favorite games, which is called Imperial Settlers. Imperial Settlers is a gorgeously cute-looking game that totally disguises a somewhat ruthless, basically like RTS board game. It's got a lot of like... it's not literally real time. It's turn based, but it's got a lot of resource management and like kind of tree based building acquisition. And it's like one person plays the Romans, one person plays like the Japanese, one person plays the there's a couple of other factions I'm trying to remember, the barbarians and the Egyptians, and each of you are kind of a mini civilization, and everyone is kind of good at a different thing. And then you kind of like you've got a pool of drafted cards that are your like basic buildings, like farmsteads and all those kind of things. And then you build your upgrade buildings that are civilization specific, and you draw those from a different deck. And like the Egyptians can build pyramids, and you're trying to get victory points. But the way that you do it for every civilization is a bit different, and they all have kind of different tier dependencies. Really, really fun game. Super, super cute art style, which makes it seem a lot more innocent than it is. It's actually really, really fun.
I think John just mentioned in the chat, fantastic Allegiance.
Whatever.
What's the tag? It has like a little title. Is it like a Realm Divided or something?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. It's basically like a card game, but you pick individual characters that have different like cooldown style abilities as if they were
I think Ben described it as kind of like a little bit like a MOBA meets Magic.
I was about to get to that. Yeah, you're like a MOBA character. For those of you who don't know, you're like a character from Dota or League of Legends in that you have a set of abilities with cooldowns, so every turn they go down their little cooldown tracker. And they each do wildly different things. Like there's a monk where every time he punches a dude, he gets a key, and every time he has 10 or more key, it adds 1 damage to all of his punch things, and he just combos up people. And there's like a necromancer which can't hire anything from any of the decks, but he just like resurrects them from the discard pile. It's super cool.
It was just mentioned in the chat, Risk Legacy. The same guy who invented the Legacy concept has developed a couple of other games. Risk Legacy was great, but Risk is just an okay game. Like there's many games like Small World and even Diplomacy that are like the experience of Risk, but I think slightly better. Risk Legacy was amazing because that whole concept of a legacy game is so great. But Pandemic Legacy is maybe my favorite game. because Pandemic is an amazing game, and they added the legacy concept to it, and there's so many twists and turns in that game. It will be the most satisfying purchase you ever make if you buy that game. And then right now I'm playing with a group of friends through Seafall. And Seafall has a couple of problems, at least in terms of the way the rule book is laid out. But the actual experience of playing the game is really immersive and great. It's like a Caribbean-era exploration game where you're pirates or merchants kind of sailing the seas. That rapidly turns into something heavily inspired by Lovecraftian mythology. And it's super good.
That's terrifying.
So strong recommend.
Betrayal at House on the Hill. One of my favorites. Also
worked on by the same guy who worked on the Legacy concept. And unsurprisingly has some similarities to it. Really, really good game. Betrayer mechanic games in general. I love Battlestar Galactica. That board game is really, really nicely made by Fantasy Flight Games. And we play card games and stuff too. We've probably spent a lot of time talking about this board game question. Maybe we should talk about War Machine.
I was just looking for another one.
I don't think we have any other questions yet. I like this one though.
It's pardon me?
The new battle engine coming out for Trolls.
Oh, the Hooch Hauler?
The Hooch Hauler.
Yeah. We touched on the Hooch Hauler briefly, but it's early concept. No one's asked this specifically, but I was going to talk a little bit about, we did kind of a series on the CID games, and it was definitely a series that we had mixed success with. I don't know if we'll be going back to producing videos about the CID or not. CID is a bit of a contentious topic, and I think with good reason. It's a really interesting testing process, but it's not real rules. It's okay. It's not like it's not real War Machine, so to speak. It's temporary. It's a thing you're testing out, and the process is iterative. And sometimes, at least with new releases, it involves doing proxying, which is something that we've had kind of mixed success with. We spent a lot of time talking about doing videos that include CID, and spending a lot of time talking about the proxies that we chose or why we did those proxies. And I don't know if that was an unmitigated success. I think there were some people who were a bit critical of that. So, sorry, John, what were you going to say?
It's tough. Things change week to week. And like when we do a video, it gets released the following week, and there's new rules already.
At our most aggressive timeline, it gets released the following week. Sometimes it gets released like a month later.
Yeah,
which obviously doesn't work.
I was going to say, for example, for our production schedule, like the last month of videos you've watched, assuming you've watched every single one, those were all filmed on the same day. And if we're doing something for CID and we want to have, like, on a reasonable, like, not rushing ourselves kind of schedule, we're going to film more than one in a day, and that's not necessarily going to line up with what the CID is going to be like. Especially, like, if it's something like the Trencher CID again, that changed almost every other day, and we can't keep up with that in terms of videos. So there's going to be times when we just can't, because it's just unreasonable. Like, if we're doing something for the Trencher CID, we'd have to release a video that once it's been past that 3-day mark and everything's changed again, it's not even going to be worth it for us, because nobody's going to want to watch that.
Yeah, and that's a problem. Was it Combo's my question in the chat? Broken Throne of Everblade list of the live stream?
Yeah, I'm working.
Okay, cool.
Something.
I think you should play Veil 2. And I'll talk more about why. But I think she's super, super good with the battle engine. I think she has access to an occultated throne, which is really strong. I think she also is a bit of a Dark Horse caster right now, in that a lot of people aren't thinking about Veil 2 answers. They're not thinking about kind of ways to play around her, which is maybe a thing that we should do. And I think her list mostly builds itself, but I'll put something together here just as a starting place for you. Here's a list that has a Naga, a Bolt Thrower, a Carnivian, and 2 Angels, which means I need to put a Seraph in it. And then you pretty much have a list. Put a Seraph in that list and cut one of the Shepherds I had in. Cool. Yeah, so here's the list. Do with it what you will. Veil, Angel, Carnivian, Naga, Bolt Thrower, Seraph, Throne, Free Sorcerer Hellion, Free Sorcerer Hellion, Free Forsaken, Single Shepherd. You've got the ability to put Arc Nodes out there yourself, so you don't need the Spell Martyr as much as Veil 1 does, even though she can put Arc Nodes up by herself. And you don't really need it for the Assassination because you want to cast a bunch of spells, not a single spell. Shepherd gives you a bit of mitigation. You've got all the beasts that you need. You've obviously got some good free charges. You still have access to a Spiny Growth Heavy you can put somewhere really relevant, and a Boundless Charge Throne is really good. Bonus points for the fact that the Throne can go in on something, kill a bunch of things, and open up a lane or a vector, and then you can huck a stick at it and turn it into the Arc Node because it unjams itself and is no longer engaged even if it charged something really relevant because it has the Chain Strike rule. So yeah, that'd be cool. And to answer the question, Courage of the Forefathers asked, Shadow War Armageddon. We went over this a little bit in our earlier portion of the stream, but we are going to be doing a Shadow War Armageddon mini-series. It's going to include each of us playing 2 factions, I believe is the current plan. Is that right, Evan?
2 warbands.
Yes, 2.
2 warbands. In my case, that's going to be Grey Knights and Harlequins. Evan, have you locked in what you're playing?
I want to play Inquisitors, but that depends on getting the models.
Sure.
I haven't decided on my second warband, but it's between Tyranid Warriors and Chaos Space Marines.
Cool. John, have you locked in your 2 warbands yet?
I have the Sisters. I have them ordered. They're on the way.
Sisters of Battle?
Yeah.
Adeptus Sororitas?
Adeptus Sororitas? Yeah.
Sororitas.
Sororitas.
Okay. Thank you, Evan.
Sororitas.
And I always say TAU. Make it
Tau.
Tau.
The Tau.
Those are the 2 we're playing.
What did I call
good
it?
guys.
No,
Communists.
they're fish North Korea.
I'm not. Is it possible for that to feel racist and also be racist against Tao, not against North Koreans? Anyway, that's it. Okay. Bearcat asks, what's your opinion? In your opinion, what are the top and bottom caster/warlock in each faction? I don't do bottom lists. Really, if I can. So I don't love that portion of the question because I'll do top. I'll do top caster in each faction. But bottom caster in each faction.
How about we each go through one? Like we say Signar, we each pick one.
Okay, sure. We can do top casters. I don't want to do bottoms because I feel like bottoms encourage a lot of negativity, and I'm not a big fan of that in the game. I can say overrated, as in like the perception the community has about this caster hasn't lived up to their potential on the tabletop for me. But a lot of things is about potential on the tabletop, and sometimes it's about the amount of time you give to a caster or the amount of energy that you inject into them. I mean,
the meta.
I heard someone telling me that another podcast had talked at great length about like the bottom casters in each faction, and they came up with controversial answers to what their worst casters, and people in the troll community were outraged that they thought that this caster was terrible. And like that's good if you want to have people talking about your shit, but it's not great if you want to, encourage some positive conversations in the community about growing and developing. So I'm definitely happy to talk about tops, and I'm happy to talk overrated, but I don't want to do bottoms. That's also yeah, I'm not going to finish that thought. Okay, go ahead. Let's talk factions. Evan, do you have a faction list in front of you? Can you call us out?
Yes, I can do that.
Okay.
So, in order, according to Privateer Press, Signar is first.
Okay. Top and Signar. John,
Haley
you want to
2.
go first? Haley 2? Evan?
Haley 2.
I will agree with that. I believe it is also Haley 2. No further comment required. Next faction.
Next.
Yep. Menoth.
John?
Come back.
Eamon.
Haven't played much against Meta.
Evan, you said Amon?
Amon.
And Raza?
Yep.
Yeah. I'm going to say Severius too.
Araza.
Okay. That seems pretty reasonable.
Yeah, I think they're on the same level. They do different things.
They sure do. They're actually not an unbelievably bad pairing, but
true.
They do similar things, and I like them both. Next faction.
Kador.
Vlad one.
Are you coming up with a reason to not say Vlad one?
No, yeah, it's Vlad one. He just makes everything good.
So I genuinely believe that Vlad one has a significant weakness. He is definitely a very, very powerful caster. Probably would be the most powerful caster in the game if he could just extend really aggressively and cast Signs of Importance. But he's vulnerable when he does that to getting shot. And there's a theme force that says you can't get shot, and that's the most powerful list in the game, full stop.
Crix. I feel like we all know the answer to this
Denny one?
Is Denny one.
Tim might disagree.
I think it's Coven.
No, you know what? In Steamroller 2017, it might be Coven. That's tough.
It is Coven in 2017. So many times. Just losing snare.
Yeah, no, I guess that's kind of terrifying either way. It might be Coven. Okay, no, I'm on the Coven train. She's just like, I score 4 scenario elements.
On your turn.
Yeah.
On my turn, I win by 8. Is that the number we have to win by? 8? I never remember.
Rhett.
John, do you want to go for? John can't hear us. Okay. Virus 2? Okay.
Virus 2.
Evan?
I think it's probably Assyria?
I'm going to say Virus 1.
Oh, yeah, you have that crap. So I think, yeah, fair enough. I mean, you've played Rhett most out of all 3 of us.
I'm not saying my answer's right. It's a bit of a dark horse answer.
It's true.
But I genuinely think that Virus 1 has the tools to lock down multiple heavies a turn. He is insanely powerful as a control caster, has a damage fixing feat, and he has access to so many tools. And just ignores line of sight and basically ignores terrain.
Convergence.
Father?
Lucant?
Lucant, yep.
Yeah.
Lucant is my answer. I could see a compelling case being made for Axis.
Yeah, I was going to say Axis.
Yeah. I just think Lucant turns so many things up to 11.
I guess.
But Axis is great.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, they're both really good, and guess what? They make a really good pairing, too.
Mercs.
You're an asshole.
What?
Just skipping.
What?
Or did you skip?
Just skipping trolls.
No, they're in a
We went from
section.
Convergence of Cyrus to Mercenaries.
Oh, so you're going, okay, I see how you're going. I have the whole list in front of me, in your order.
What? Okay, anyway. John, who's your best Mercs?
Hold on, I'm going off of this.
Yeah, that's fine.
John, who's the best Mercs caster? Damiano?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to say Osram.
I was going to say Osram too.
Cool.
Not Osram 2, Osram as well. If there's an Osram 2, he's probably the one, though.
I also think that I could see a compelling case being made for Thexus. Thexus has a lot of really powerful tools in Mercenaries.
60 drudges.
Yeah, I think those 3 casters are all in that conversation.
Trolls.
I'll wait for you guys.
Oh, okay.
We're going first here?
Just deafening silence.
I'm going to say Doomshaper 1.
Oh, I hadn't even thought of him. I was going to say, like... I want to say Ragnar, but, like, I don't know. I feel like a lot of Trolls casters are on the same level.
I'm going to say Doom 3.
Doom 3?
Just because his spell list is so good. And mini
He does have a really good spell list.
With mini feats and his feats Probably the best in the faction, I think. D3+3 healing.
Especially with huge bases that can't be grievously wounded.
Correct.
It's true.
I want to say Magic 3.
Circle.
John?
I got to bring up the list here.
You've played against a lot of Circle.
I want to say Woodworm.
That's not his name.
Oh my god. It's Wormwood. For the 50 billionth fucking time. It's Wormwood. It's always Wormwood.
Still think it's pretty scary to play against.
You're not wrong. Evan?
The tree's scary, but, like, Mosar is fucking terrifying these days.
Yeah, anybody who isn't thinking about Mosar right now is going to have a rude awakening the first time
Yeah.
they play against them. I'm gonna go with my Bay, Baldur 2.
Oh, yeah, no. Like, I like that answer, but Mosar's terrifying.
Yeah, I don't think there's a lot of wrong answers in Circle right now. That faction is so good right now.
Legion!
Yeah.
Fiana.
Still scary to play against.
Fiana.
Yeah, Fiana's a pretty good answer. She's definitely in a lot of pairings and she solves a lot of things. She's also the first caster in their faction to get a spell like Fury that is just a raw damage buff that can be applied to beasts, which is pretty insane. I'm gonna say Thagrosh 1. He's a really incredible generalist. He answers a lot of problems, and he supports characters really, really well.
John.
Little 3.
It's not a bad answer either. She's still a bit of a boogie person. She's out there just being capable of assassinating people from an incredibly deep range.
All right.
She can, trample 9, cast the Ravagore Animus, shoot with Swift Hunter, kill 3 things, move 6 more inches, and repo 5.
Fair enough.
It's a lot of scenario presence.
All right. Scorn. If John doesn't have to go first on his faction, I don't have to go first on mine.
All right, I'm going to say the scariest person in
Zal 2.
Scorn is Makeda 2.
What did you say, John?
Zal 2.
Zaltu. All right. So
Draw this one out as long as you can.
I know, right? It's like I think it's either Rasheth or Morgul 3.
Charles was talking about Morgul 2 with a lot of affection. Specifically Morgul 2 in theme with double turtle.
Yeah, that's terrifying now. Because you can incorporate.
Yeah, you've got you can make it incorporeal, which is pretty decent. And you can also you run double Arcadon or whatever in the list, and you can charge in, kill something, make something mortality, and then feet really, really deep and sprint back, not necessarily in that order, and just be really, really safe. And then the turtle really loves things that are mortality because it's super, super good at dealing with those things.
It's also just
and
the CID post CID turtles is insane.
Yeah, and the biggest problem with playing 2 huge bases in a list is terrain, and Morgul 2 is just what terrain?
Yep.
Because he can incorporate them both.
After that, I believe is either Grimkin or Minions. It's Grimkin.
Can't say.
Heretic.
Heretic's definitely the best generalist. But my vote for most powerful caster in the faction right now is the Child. She's the one who has unlocked the most successfully for me, and who I feel has the most aggressive potential. But Heretic's great in a Ghost Fleet, and he's got a ton of tools in that matchup. And Old Witch is a good vote too. The Grimkin casters are actually all pretty powerful. Dreamer's good too.
John?
Sorry, well,
I can't really say any more games against him. In 2017, live, play more games.
All right.
give me a month.
Yep. And then minions.
This person right here.
I mean,
Fuck you.
Calvin.
Oh god.
I agree,
Well, Steve.
but
No, get it away. I'm gonna say Arcadius, because
that's also terrifying.
Crippling Grasp is a really good spell. Arcadius can give the snake fully boosted attack and damage rolls on that spray, which is 10 inches of pain. And yeah, his Roadhogs are really incredible. He can be a Fury Management caster. He can also be a Throat Range Extension caster. He has Repo 3, which mitigates his issue of having to come up really close to apply Crippling Grasp a little bit, because now his Crippling Grasp is, he's 13 inches away from his target or whatever. His Brigands are surprisingly good. Even though I probably would play him in a mostly just beast heavy list with the snake. Maybe Roshenbrand too, possibly Wrong Iron Snapshot, but that's of debatable merit. Some kind of primal bot in there. Maybe a battle
Okay.
or two.
All right, that's all the factions.
Yeah, so that's our general assessment of who the best factions, who the best casters are in the faction.
I think for some factions it means more than others, but like, I think Trolls and Scorn, at least casters wise, are some of the most well balanced factions there are.
Yeah, Circle's more balanced than a lot of people give it credit for too.
Yep.
They've got a deep roster of S tier casters and kind of just an okay faction around it. So Circle's a really neat faction because like the difference in objective power level between Wormwood and Kruger 2 is pretty slight. And the difference in objective power level between Kruger 2 and Tanith isn't a lot more. Like, they've got a pretty deep roster of really incredible casters who just dominate the board with so many powerful abilities. And then they've got some good beasts and some bad beasts. And they've got some not great infantry. I mean, like, they've also got some good infantry. Like, I'm more and more impressed by playing druids in Kruger 2 again, which I haven't done for a long time. But yeah, no, otherwise they're great. They're a neat faction because a lot of factions have that kind of internal balancing mechanic. Like Retribution has great infantry. They have the best infantry in the game. They're just insane. And their casters are just okay. Like, some of their casters are really okay. But even Assyria, who's just like a crazy powerful caster who fixes Mat and fixes Rat, her feat is one of Vlad One's spells. And with good reason. You can't have Signs Importance in the faction that has the best infantry in the game. You can have it in the faction that has the second best infantry in the game.
Yep.
So, I want to talk a little bit about kind of some other stuff that we've got planned for the rest of the year. So, you know, this is our 1 year anniversary, and we want to basically make it clear that we don't want to go away as a channel. Some of the things that we want to do are expand our video content production schedule, which we've already talked about. We want to include some on-site days and some off-site days, increase the War Machine coverage that we do to 2 videos a week, so that's Monday and Thursday, with Thursday being kind of a deeper digging series that focuses on a list or a faction and the kind of potential answers for that, maybe even a specific matchup. It's probably going to start with a bit of a series about Ghost Fleet, talking about kind of deeper digging into Ghost Fleet answers that exist. But that'll really free up our Monday days to be ones that don't feature Crix at all and really focus on other factions instead. We're also going to be doing a mini-series on Shadow War. We're going to be doing a handful of recorded Guild Ball games, which is going to be a process. We're going to be learning that together. We're probably going to be inviting Craig, who's our local pundit, on the channel to be involved in some of the Guild Ball games filmed. He knows the game better than us. But they're definitely going to be learning games. Like, we hope that people on the channel can, in a polite and respectful way, say, hey, like, this is what you're doing wrong, or this rule doesn't work like this, or I feel like you made a mistake and did this thing wrong at this moment. So those are the concerns we have about that, and also the hope we have for our community of viewers to help us involved in that process. We get a lot of requests to return to the podcast that Arcane Assist produced once upon a time. A big reason we don't do that or are never going to have exactly that product again is because Matt is in a different country now and isn't involved in the channel anymore. And Matt is an amazing resource for the game and an amazing resource in terms of his mind. So you're never going to get the Matt and Tim discussing War Machine process again. But we have done a couple of video chats like this and have determined that it's not going to be a thing we do weekly, but it may turn into a thing that we do a couple of special series on, a little bit like this. So if this is something that you liked, if this is something that you enjoy, that you would enjoy having in a podcast format, posted to a site like Muse, in the live stream format as we've produced it here, and also perhaps as a video on YouTube afterward, let us know and tell us, and I'll see if that's something that we can make sure we put our content production attention into. It's always about focus. I mean, we've been doing this for a year now, so we've got enough time to say, like, these aren't ambitions we haven't considered. They're things we've talked about at great length. We've tried in a couple of different ways, and we can confidently say that we can do, X, Y, Z, but we can't do these other things that we've sort of tested and just aren't working for us with the schedule that we have. So it's, as I say, it's a process, but it's been really fun. Like, we've had a great year, and coming out of the gate, we've had really supportive viewers. I think we had our first negative comment a week ago.
We had a negative comment?
It's gonna happen.
Yeah. Well.
Yep. Yeah, I feel like it's also worth noting, like, when it comes to us doing other games, we're always going to have new ideas as to how we're going to film it, because when it comes to our Shadow War series, we're not going to be doing the same sort of post-commentary, deep analytics we do with War Machine. It's going to be a lot more up-close and personal, handy-camming it, and recording, like, as we're doing the video, as opposed to post-commentary. And, like, that's gone into the thought with other series, like, what happens if we want to do some other, like, how are we going to film Guild Ball? It'll probably be both commentated, but it's also different to how War Machine works, because there's a lot more back and forth than there is in War Machine, so there's going to be a lot more practicing with how we do commentary and trying not to talk over each other as much as we're trying to explain players going back and forth. And in terms of, like, other series, obviously we want to play more Warband games after Shadow War, assuming it's not a total toss-up, which we hope it isn't, because we all three of us love the game.
Love it.
Out of curiosity, sorry, in the chat there was just there's a War Machine Discord group. Okay, neat. We sure don't have our own server in the War Machine Discord group, but that's a thing I was unaware of. What is the time difference in Australia like? I feel like you're in a different day from us right now.
He's ahead of us. It's like 9 a.m.
Like, hello from the future. That's cool. Yeah.
Wouldn't we be the... Wait, are they ahead or behind?
They're the future, we're not.
Okay, so hello from the past.
Yeah, no, I get it. Anyway. Yes.
Clearly you don't!
Or maybe I've gotten it all along. I probably don't. You're right. Cool. It's funny because I used to be kind of a technological expert, but I'm a bit of a techno-Luddite these days. So, like, the notion of Discord is just like, I don't know. Is it wrong to say that it's somewhat discordant for me?
Oh yeah, 11
it's actually a pretty good program. I use it quite frequently. I did not know there was a War Machine one though, so I'll have to.
I had it on my phone for a while, and I don't know. It's a process. I'm not great at forums either. Like, I'm just a techno-Luddite for whatever reason.
Dim doesn't know how to use Reddit.
I don't know how to use Reddit, and I try really hard to use Reddit. I, like, go there and respond to people's comments and stuff sometimes, but, like, if I take a while to get back to you, it's because I'm just old or something.
Facebook chat.
You can't... it's hard to get like comments and feedback from a good amount of people via Facebook Messenger, especially if they can't find you on Facebook.
Oh, that's a really good question. Who's playing what guild at the moment? I assume that's in reference to Guild Ball.
I don't play.
I'm playing Butchers. It's really against type for me. If anyone has seen me in videos, I'm not great at just murdery factions particularly. That's not really my jam. I like really complicated control based factions. I probably would have been a better pick for Morticians, but I was sort of challenged to play something just outside of my comfort zone a bit. So I just went for it, and I've been loving Butchers. I like strong female characters, so fillet and/or fillet, depending on the correct pronunciation of that.
It's fillet.
Yeah? Okay, whatever. You told me the opposite of that.
No!
Week, so.
No, I said it's fillet. I've always said fillet.
Anyway, the captain is really great. I think she's fantastic, and she's just a really neat character to engage with. I've been playing a roster that includes her and Princess with Boiler and Meathook. I'm also using the original Brisket. I haven't found a lot of matchups for Veteran Brisket really kind of called to me as a character that I wanted to include. But then my last flex player, I've been swapping between Veteran Ox, who I play in a lot of the more BD matchups, and then Tenderizer, who's a really, really great goalkeeper in the matchups where I want to play against Fish or even the seasoned Brisket version of Union. Tenderizer was really great in that matchup. Evan, what do you play?
I play Alchemists, which is basically like me and Tim just switched factions. Because normally I'd play the thing that just hits people. And I've actually been really enjoying it. I've been playing a lot of Smoke with both Calculus and Mercury, as well as Venin and Vet Catalyst. Because I think Veteran Catalyst is just ridiculous. I don't know if he's good or not, but he sure kills stuff dead. And it's been a lot. I've been playing the condition game really hard. And I'm looking to, once they come out, I'm very excited for Farmers Guild. Because, oh my god, just scythes everywhere is so cool.
Fucking Scarecrow dude looks goddamn
Jackstraw is amazing! He's so cool! He just teleports!
Yeah.
He's his movement stat is 2-4, but he can teleport 3 times a turn.
It's like Smoke. Where you're like, oh, she's slow, she's moving 4, and then it's like, lol, just kidding, she's a fucking billion inches away.
Smoke bomb, bleh, gone.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. No, they're so cool. Hey, John, is the Pharaohgeist worth dropping into a Trolls list?
Yes. The problem with that is you're playing outside of theme. So if you want to... We're playing Grim 2. Tim got me on the list. It's a really solid list. Played it for a very long time. Into the OTC and a couple months before that. And the Pharaohgeist was a key factor. Because it can go into GK if the GK dies. So, it's a really solid piece.
Also, yes, the Blacksmiths do have a really cool thing going on. I'd like to see more of them, though, because as far as I'm aware, they've still only revealed those 2 players. What was it? Anvil and Hammer, or whatever their names are? Not Hammer.
That seems like something else.
It's Guild Ball. It's Black... Someone in the chat was talking about Guild Ball. Blacksmiths.
No, I just think that's not their actual team, is it? Maybe it is. I don't know.
No, there is a team called the Blacksmiths.
Really?
And yeah, if you haven't seen it, after
No, sorry. That's I'm aware of the Blacksmiths as a team. I just thought they had a different... Is it Hammer and Anvil?
It's not Hammer. Anvil's definitely one of their names, though.
Okay, because I thought Hammer was a Mason
Hammer is
character.
the other Mason's captain. I think. Yeah, no, it's literally just to do with no. I forget what his name is, though. He has the Momentous 7 damage, I think it is.
Yeah, and he can get like 4 net hits or something crazy like that.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Quick answer to the question. In Shadow Wars, I'm going to be playing Grey Knights and Harlequins. John is playing Tau and Sisters, and Evan is playing 2 of the following: Inquisitorial, Tyranid Warriors, and Nurgle Marines.
Nurgle Marines.
Yep.
They're super cool.
They are super cool. And we actually played a 40k game last night. 1,000 points. Just trying it out.
Yeah.
It was fun. It worked pretty well.
It was fun. It was a good time. New 40k is super cool, actually.
It's not War Machine, and probably never will be.
No.
And it's never going to be a game I travel competitively for. But it is a great game to play while drinking whiskey, cream, and coffee, and staying up until 3 in the morning.
Yep.
How are you feeling, Mr. Person who has a dairy allergy?
I felt fine.
Okay.
I mean, I woke up
at... Saying is we need to give you more.
I woke up at 2 in the afternoon, but yeah, I feel fine.
Healthy.
No. Yeah. Oh, I also discovered, I can get, like, 120 Poxwalkers in one formation. Because that's necessary.
Yeah, so...
Sledge! It was Sledge.
Sledge! Thank you. Thank you very much. Anvil and Sledge. Man, the blacksmiths still look really cool.
Yeah. Yep. Definitely more into the farmers, though. Because, what's his name? It's not Reaper, is it? No, the Reaper is the one of the 2 types of guys, because it's Reaper and Planter. But there's the Reaper Captain.
Reaper and Sower, right? Is that right?
No, that was the thing from that one War Machine League.
Oh, right.
It's Reaper and Planter, and the Reaper Captain, is just terrifying. He has like...
Is that one? Yeah, the silly guy. What's his name? The Scarecrow guy?
No, the Scarecrow guy is actually a Planter, funny enough, because he has Crop Dust, which is he chucks a 3-inch AoE, and he can place 2 Harvest Markers in it, but I'm just going to look up the dude's name. John, how do you feel about Horror 2 with an evolutionary elementalism kind of list? That's an interesting question. I guess it would be in Power Dunia, and you just spam lights?
It would be Power Dunia, and you spam a lot of lights. Never thought of it. When I play Horgo 2, like, I bring the infantry for solid ground. But I did have a cool Horgo 2 list with Dozer, Smig, Axer, Bomber. And I kind of like trampled Dozer first turn with Firestarter, shoot him 14 inches, and light stuff on fire in deployment zone. But other than that, I haven't touched it much.
Yeah. Also, his name is Thresher, and he is insane. So he's movement 5-7, tack 7, kick 3-8, def 4 up, no armor, and his influence is 3-5. But his playbook is insane, just a ton of damage. He has They Ain't Tough, which is the -1 armor. He has Don't Fear the... ...
that's cute.
Remove target friendly harvest marker from the pitch. If a friendly harvest marker is removed, all models within this model's melee range suffer 3 damage.
Jesus.
And he has Scything March. When this model inflicts the knockdown condition on one or more enemy models, this model may immediately make a 1-inch dodge. And Extended Reach, so he has 3-inch melee. And Crow Scarer. While this model is within 4 inches of a friendly harvest marker, this model gains Poised. He can make a counterattack without spending momentum. Once per turn.
Seems really good too.
And then also his legendary play is friendly guild models within this pulse gain +2 attack and Life Drinker.
Oh, Life Drinker's really strong, isn't it?
Yeah, it's every time you do damage, you heal a point. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the same thing that the Gutter has, I think.
Yes, Gutter. Chain Lady? Yeah, Gutter.
Yeah. Okay, Evan, I think that's pretty much where we want to be at for tonight, eh? That's basically the conversation we wanted to have. Thank you to everybody who tuned in to the channel, checked out the live stream, helped us celebrate our 1-year anniversary. We're hoping to get this video uploaded tomorrow to YouTube. So for anybody who has friends who missed it or who want to check it out, tomorrow's when we're going to be doing that. And expect to see our War Machine videos increasing to Thursday content as well, starting not this week, but probably next week. Maybe this week, but probably next week. And we'll see you guys on Monday.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks for watching, guys.